Of all the E3 announcements this year, the only one to come close to getting me as hyped as that Zelda trailer came in the form of one of my other all-time favorite franchises, Metroid. We got a trailer, treehouse demo, and development history video on the new and upcoming Metroid Dread. And as a Metroid fan, I am so excited, but there's been a lot of mixed feelings, discourse, and confusion about the game. So as someone who is excited and wants to share that excitement with everybody, I thought I would go ahead and put together this video. Now, I'm not here to tell you which games are good and which aren't, because that's entirely subjective. Rather, my intention is just to bring you up to speed on the overall story of the series. Here is everything you need to know about Metroid before you play Metroid Dread. Nintendo doesn't care about story, I hear you all saying, to which I say, you haven't played Metroid, have you? Yes, Nintendo does have a gameplay first philosophy, and Metroid is no exception to that. However, there is some seriously in-depth Metroid lore and story to be had. Now, Mario games can pretty much always just be standalone games and stories, and Zelda has these standalone stories that all fit into a larger chronology, but can be enjoyed on their own just fine. The mainline Metroid games, however, tell a single overarching story, with each game pretty much exploring the consequences of the previous ones. These games are all tied together closely and are almost all important. Also, there is the Prime series. These are amazing games, but are a side story, and not a part of the main Metroid story. They connect to each other, but not having played the Prime trilogy will not mean you're missing story details in the mainline 2D Metroid games. Both series are amazing, but they're separate stories. So if you're confused why they announced Metroid 5 when we're still waiting on number 4, it's because Dread is Metroid 5 in the mainline Metroid series, while the 4th game in the Prime series is still in development. Just who is Samus? To answer that question, let's rewind back to the very start of our Metroid timeline. Not Metroid 1, but the Metroid manga. Samus lived on the colony planet K2L. But after a space pirate attack that included Ridley murdering her parents, an orphaned Samus is adopted by the alien bird race known as the Chozo, and raised on the planet Zebes. She does spend some time enlisted in the Galactic Federation military, but ultimately finds success as an intergalactic bounty hunter, or hunter for short. By the time of the first game in the series, in fact, she is already a renowned and reputable hunter. Having been raised by the Chozo, Samus was also infused with Chozo DNA, granting her incredible strength and stamina. And in a way, the Chozo groomed her to be the fierce bounty hunter that she is now. But that doesn't mean she's heartless. Samus displays a thoughtful and introspective side that you don't often see in Nintendo's more stoic heroes. This isn't as clear maybe in the original NES game, but in its remake and in its sequels, we often get glimpses of Samus's thoughts and feelings. Fusion in particular has one of my personal favorite representations of Samus, as she spends some of the quieter moments in that game reflecting on her actions and her past. Samus is also not just your stereotypical bounty hunter, in that it's not just about the bounty. Often it's a matter of doing what's right. There are times in the series in which she abandons her mission if she feels it's not a moral one, and opts instead to do what she feels is the right thing. She also stumbles into adventures which are not contracts or bounties, and chooses instead to help because she just can't turn a blind eye to injustice. For example, in Prime 2, when her mission was simply to investigate what happens to a Federation research team, you technically complete that mission within the first hour of the game. But Samus sticks around because she sees the larger picture. That said, Samus can also hold a hell of a grudge, particularly against Dark Samus, Mother Brain, and Ridley, especially Ridley, who murdered her parents. Samus is seen pursuing Ridley relentlessly several times in the series. So So how does that closely connected Metroid storyline go so far? Well, the spoiler-free version is Metroid 1, or its remake, Zero Mission, the Metroid Prime Trilogy, Metroid 2, or its remake, Samus Returns, Super Metroid, Metroid Other M, Metroid Fusion, and finally, Metroid Dread. For the rest of this section, there's going to be heavy spoilers for pretty much every Metroid game, so you have all been warned. Also, please note this video will be too long if I go too much in detail about every bit of lore, so just consider this simply an overview of the series. I'm also going to be skipping over the Prime Trilogy here. It fits between 1 and 2, as I said, but it's its own self-contained story and likely won't be important to Dread. So let's get on with it. While the original NES Metroid story is a bit vague, the Game Boy Advance remake, Metroid Zero Mission, goes into a lot more detail. When a Galactic Federation research installation is attacked by space pirates and certain specimens from the planet SR-388, known as Metroids, are stolen, Samus, who by this point already has a reputation for completing numerous missions thought impossible, is contracted by the Federation to do what their own military is simply unable to. Track the pirates to their base, exterminate all of the dangerous Metroid organisms, and take down the space pirate operation by destroying their leader, Mother Brain. This takes Samus to the planet Zebes, where she was raised by the Chozo race. The Chozo seem to be gone from here, and the space pirates have made their base in the caverns under the planet's surface. Samus is able to successfully infiltrate the base, battles Ridley and Kraid, exterminates the Metroids that the space pirates had been breeding, and she blows up Mother Brain. This triggers a self-destruct sequence which destroys the entire base. With her mission complete, Samus takes off from the planet only to have her ship shot down. So what does she do? She infiltrates the space pirate mothership, acquires herself a new and more powerful suit, and blows their mothership right up. As you do. After the Zero Mission, and Samus doing a bunch of other stuff in the Prime series, the Federation, having deemed Metroids to simply be too dangerous, contracts Samus once more. The mission is to go to the Metroid homeworld SR-388 and eradicate the entire Metroid species. And she does just that. Samus alone visits the planet and exterminates every single Metroid, including the Queen Metroid. Suddenly, however, a single Metroid egg hatches and imprints on Samus like a baby duck. Samus, in a moment of compassion, decides to spare the hatchling. And brings the baby Metroid back to her ship. In Samus Returns, the 3DS remake, we get an additional boss battle where Proteus Ridley shows up, still with his cybernetic enhancements that he had in the Prime Trilogy, and attempts to steal the baby Metroid. Samus defeats Ridley and leaves the planet.
The last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
Samus, having spared the Metroid hatchling, brings it to the Ceres space colony, a Federation research station. She hands the baby Metroid over to the scientists, hoping that their research may be beneficial. As she leaves, however, she suddenly receives a distress call from the space station. She doubles back to find all of the scientists dead. Ridley shows up, steals the baby Metroid, and flees. Samus pursues Ridley back to planet Zebes and finds the ruins of the space pirate base that she destroyed during her previous visit here. Turns out that the space pirates have been quietly rebuilding their operations here. Samus once more infiltrates the planet, dismantles their operations, which includes cloning the Metroids. She meets these lovely animals called Etecoons and Decoras, battles Ridley and Kraid again, and discovers Mother Brain alive and well. So she blows up Mother Brain and, oh, okay, we are just blowing up the whole planet now. I guess Mother Brain can't recover from that. Important details here during all of this. We actually meet the baby Metroid again here in the Space Pirates base, with it having grown to a massive size. It initially attacks Samus before realizing who she is. Then it comes back to assist Samus during the final battle with Mother Brain, only for Mother Brain to slaughter it. Rest in peace, baby. Rest in peace. With all Metroids destroyed and Mother Brain exploded, Samus receives a distress call from the Federation research vessel, the Bottle Ship. She meets this Federation platoon who is led by her former commanding officer from her time in the military, Adam Malkovich. Samus agrees to cooperate with them as they investigate the ship, and long story short, it turns out that the Federation had a Metroid breeding program, and they cloned Mother Brain, and they cloned Ridley. Samus defeats all the bad guys, Adam dies, more military guys show up, and they basically tell Samus to beat it. Then the Federation blows up the ship. Man, Samus could have done that if you gave her the chance. Samus is contracted by the Federation to assist as a bodyguard during a research mission to the planet SR-388, the same world where she previously exterminated the entire Metroid race. While there, Samus is attacked by a mysterious organism simply known as the X-Parasite. It turns out that committing genocide wasn't good for the planet's ecosystem, as the Metroids were the X's only known predator. Without the Metroids around, the X has run rampant, and is basically devouring all life on the planet. The X has an uncanny ability to corrupt, possess, and mimic any and all kinds of creatures. When it attacks Samus, she is put into a critical condition and rushed off to surgery. In order to save her life, large portions of her suit have to be surgically removed, leading to her having this new fusion suit. However, the parasite had infected Samus's nervous system so badly that even doing this would not save her. A Federation scientist is able to cure her with a vaccine made from preserved cells of the baby Metroid. Samus, now infused with Metroid DNA, is impervious to the X-Parasite. Samus boards the Federation's Biologic Space Labs, or BSL station, where the infected pieces of her suit had been sent. The station had several simulated environments meant to mimic environments from the planet SR-388, so that they could study the creatures of the planet, which just makes this the perfect breeding ground for the X-Parasite. She is sent to investigate explosions on the vessel, and it turns out that the X that had infected her armor has taken control of her suit, creating the SAX. During Samus's time here, she is guided by an AI, which she names Adam after her former CO Adam, you know, the one who died. Samus continues her mission, exterminating the X-Parasites around the station, all while being hunted by the SAX, which has all of her power and abilities from Super Metroid. But long story short, it turns out that the Federation was using this station to create yet another Metroid breeding program, and we're also hoping to capture the SAX, so as to use both these parasites and the Metroids as bioweapons. The Federation is upset that Samus has discovered this and tries to lock down the station. And Samus, I guess being fed up with the Federation doing all this shady shit, decides to take matters into her own hands. She goes rogue, disobeying all of her orders, then sets the station to impact with the planet and self-destruct. She battles this Omega Metroid, absorbs the SAX and her suit, and escapes, destroying both the BSL and SR-388 itself. Samus is now presumably an outlaw, but she has done the right thing, having destroyed all of the X-Parasites and the Metroids. Samus's escape is only made possible by the Edakuns and Decoras that she saved in Super Metroid, who bring her ship around to the docking bay for her. Thanks, guys. So Dread is not out yet, but what do we know about it so far? From the trailer, the behind the scenes video, and the Treehouse demos that they have shown at E3 2021, we can get a clue as to some of the story details. Apparently, some of the X-Parasites have survived. Samus, who now has Metroid DNA in her, is impervious to the effects of the parasite, making her the perfect candidate to combat them. So it's entirely possible that she's gone to finish them off. There's also the EMI robots. These are Federation research robots who are apparently able to just one-shot Samus. They are terrifying and relentless. What sort of research robots need to be so proficient in the art of slaughter exactly? Given the way the EMI hunt Samus down so viciously, I'd say it's a safe assumption that she is still not on good terms with the Federation, who are probably pretty upset about her blowing up all of their bioweapon research and their space station and an entire planet. Samus's suit seems to be a new one, not her typical Varia suit. In fact, it looks like she's made her own enhancements and built this new suit over top of her fusion suit. It looks really freaking cool. Something worth mentioning as well is that we do see a brief glimpse of a Chozo in the trailer. The Chozo raised Samus and play an important part of the series. They created Samus's power suit and many of the relics and upgrades that Samus uses throughout the series. However, most importantly to Dread is something that was revealed in the Metroid 2 remake, Samus Returns, which contains some extra backstory. You can unlock what are called Chozo memories, which explain that a group of Chozo had actually bioengineered the Metroids themselves in order to combat the X-Parasite. And it didn't quite work out for them. When another faction of Chozo show up and discover this, they end up slaughtering the first group of Chozo. What this means exactly for Dread is unclear, but given that Samus Returns was developed by Mercury Steam, who also co-developed this game, it's likely going to be an important detail to note. Also, Adam, the AI from Fusion, is back in this game. So what's canon? There's a lot of debate among fans about what is and isn't canon. Some say the Prime trilogy isn't because of a throwaway line of dialogue in Other M that contradicts it. Some say Other M isn't canon because Samus suffers from PTSD in that game, which is canonically between the third and fourth game, which should then contradict her lack thereof PTSD during all of these other games. And some say Other M isn't canon because the game's producer, Yoshio Sakamoto, said this about Dread. Though I'm pretty sure what he meant was that this is the first game in 19 years that moves the story further past Fusion instead of squeezing it in between other games. And some say Other M isn't canon just because they don't like the game. That's the worst argument of them all. It's really nice to see Nintendo giving the Metroid series more love and moving the story forward after so many years. We've had remakes and in-betweenquels, but for nearly 2 decades, Fusion had been the end point of the series, leaving fans wondering just where Samus can go from here. Personally, it's my most anticipated game this year. I just can't wait to play Dread. And that's everything you need to know about Dread story-wise before you go play it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and let me know if Metroid's a topic I should cover some more in the future. Alright guys, that's everything from me. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye bye! Thank you so much for watching this video. I just wanted to take a quick second to say thank you to those who supported me on Patreon. In particular, those who supported at the cheese tier or higher. And that includes Tetra, Brenda, Justin, Callie, Finley, and Grey Mage. Thank you all so much for the support, and I will catch you next time. Bye bye!